What's up guys? It's Noxie with KxK Dynamics. I'm about to show you how to use your SK1 kit to take a RID out of an OEM finished car as safely as possible. I hope you're stoked, because I am too. All right, so we've washed the car, we've clay barred the car to make sure that there were no bonded contaminants on the surface left over that the wash didn't take out, and now we're gonna address the RID. So I'm gonna grab my SK1 kit, I'm gonna pop this dude open, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab my sandpaper and my blocks out. Okay, so I grabbed the soft block. This is why we designed this. This foam and this setup is actually designed for OEM paint. It's not gonna be as aggressive, but still aggressive enough for you to be able to remove RIDs like this. Okay, so when you hear the word RIDs, you have to understand that RIDs is an acronym for randomly isolated deeper scratch. And when you're dealing with these, they all have different depths. So scratches like this, after experience, we've learned that we can take these out safely. Some of them might be a little too deep to chase, and those are absolutely the ones that you want to stay away from. If I were to take this panel and flip it on its side and be able to expand it and magnify it, you'd be able to see the depth in the clear coat. So let's say we're working with this much clear. When a scratch comes into that clear, there'll be a deeper point. We're not so much worried about this at the surface. We're not so much worried about this part of the surface. This part is what we need to address. We need to get the clear as safely leveled as possible so that we're addressing the lowest point. And not all scratches are capable of being sanded out. That's why KxK has coined the phrase, sand to improve, not remove. What that basically means is that we're gonna try to take this scratch out as safely as possible, but we're not aiming for it to completely vanish. As long as it's the color of the car, that's usually a really good thing and a safe thing so that your client's vehicle can continue to keep paint on it for a long period of time. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna select my 1500 grit. I've got my soft block ready to go. I'm gonna wet the surface with water, and we're gonna go ahead and knock this guy out. So this surface is flat, so I'm gonna take the flat side of my block and put it down on the paper. You'll notice that our paper has a cushiony interface as well. So this is gonna allow you to not only get into contours without leaving deeper signatures in your sanding marks, but it'll also allow you to put a little bit more pressure in there and give you a little bit more tolerance. So that way you get better results without having to go over practice and practice and practice. You only need a little bit of water. You don't need to oversaturate it, just enough. You put a little bit of water on the surface of the paper. And what's very, very important when working with paint and sanding is the control of the block. You don't want the block to teeter either way because the sandpaper is wrapped around this. So if it's nose down, you're gonna leave deeper signatures. The idea is to get good contact on the surface and safely level that surface. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put my pointer finger on the very edge of this block while I'm pinching the paper around the sides. I'm gonna use my ring finger down here to support the back end. So when it's all together, it looks kind of like this. Now, a good way to keep the block from teetering is to think the nose of the block and the heel of the block, you're going from Alaska to Florida. If you're a lefty, you can go from New York to Mexico. And you wanna just go in very soft patterns. So when we talk about passes in future videos, we want you to understand what a pass is. Up, down, down. That's one pass. Now when I'm moving over the scratch, I'm only gonna move the block a fraction into the other direction so that I can cover the entire surface of the scratch, and then we'll go from there. So you're gonna faintly see this scratch right here through the sanding scratches. Not to worry, we do not want you to repeat process with your 1500. Instead, we want you to put it down because you have a good, clean, sanded surface. Do you see how consistent this is all the way through? This is what you're looking for. We'll switch out to the next step, which is going to be our 2000 grit. We're gonna keep our soft block, and we're basically going to go just a little bit further around the original sanding pattern. What that's called is feathering out. And we do that so that you don't have a real slick spot here and not here. But we wanna make sure that everything seems consistent to the eye when addressing an isolated deeper scratch. Okay, so now that we have our 2000 laid out, you can see how consistent it is, and you can barely even see that scratch at all. You have to really be looking for it. So last but not least, we're gonna go with our 3000 grit. And again, we're gonna go ahead and trace the original sanding signature just a little bit further to feather out. This is the last step before our compounding stage. When sanding with 3000, you wanna make sure that you're almost doubling passes. So if you did one pass with 1500, you want to do 2 passes with 3000. How do you know that you've done it right? This is a really cool trick that's going to come from somebody that sands every single day of their life. If the surface is truly level, when you go to wipe it, you're going to see how fast it dries. Now we're ready for our compound stage. We're using the same machine that we've used before in videos. We use this machine with our headlight video. This is an extremely effective machine. If you do not have this machine, you can use a regular DA if you like. Just going ahead using this particular tool to expedite the process. As you can see, I don't really need a lot of product on the surface of this. The idea is to kind of work in pieces. So you're gonna do a smaller section, you're gonna wipe off the surface, make sure that you got the sanding signatures out and that the original rid is removed. Okay, we'll just music and slow-mo. So I got my finish solution selected, I got my pad selected, and I've actually switched out to an electric machine because I feel like this is gonna give me a better finish on this particular clear coat. So again, I'm not gonna use a lot of product. If you're worried about the product slinging, you literally can just spread it across the pad with your finger. It allows the foam to absorb a little bit of the product, and it gives you a little bit more consistency. I'm gonna go ahead and finish out the spot so that we can see what our final product looks like. Ooh, wait, and that is how you safely take a rid out of OEM finish using your SK1 kit. If you're really liking these videos, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell so you can stay up to date on new product releases and future content. Thanks for watching.